Good evening, good evening, good evening. It's the pastor coming to you live on this Monday evening, February 10th, Facebook Live with the pastor. And got a few things I'd like to talk about this evening. So I'd like to welcome anybody that gets on tonight. Please share this out. I'm going to do like I normally do and put on a little music. It's not going to be too loud, at least I don't think so. A little something from 1985. Y'all know I go old school, right? That's what the pastor does. But a little something from 1985 by a group called a supergroup, actually, that came together in order to address famine in Ethiopia. And the song that they put together without naming the participants was a song called We Are the World. And I think it's essential that I open tonight's live up with this song as I get some folks tagged up, which is my normal procedure, because the opening lines of this song are really crucial. It says, "There comes a time when we heed a certain call, and the world must come together as one." And that, my friends, is really the basis for my decision to run for the chairman's seat in the Charleston County Democrats. So let me start up this We Are the World right quick. Again, it's not going to be that loud. I don't want to run anybody off. While I get somebody tagged up, y'all please share this out, okay? Let's see if we can get some more folks on. Facebook Live with the pastor. Good evening, and what's going on, people? Let me see if my tag button is working tonight. Of course it's not, but it'll be all right. All righty. Yeah. There comes a time when we heed a certain call. So if you all would please share this out. Again, my tag button is not working properly, but if you all would invite some more people in. I just want to talk about this this vacancy that's coming up with the Charleston County Democrats. It's actually the entire executive committee, but for me personally, in the social climate that we're in, the political climate we're in right now, I'm really not interested in the other positions within the Charleston County Democrats, because what we need is something a little bit more targeted and directed from the top seat. And I'm going to talk about it tonight. I'm going to talk about my history. I'm going to talk about the issues that we face, the dilemmas we're in, and I'm going to talk a bit about what we can do in order to not just survive these next 4 years, because there are a whole lot of people that, oh Lord, woe is me. But instead of just trying to survive this next 4 years, I truly believe that we as Democrats, that we can thrive, at least in Charleston County, with me as the chair. That's what we're going to do. We're going to thrive. There comes a time when we must heed a certain call, and we all must come together as one. Yep. So I thought that 1985 would be a good year to set the tone in the background. I was hoping that I would be able to tag some folks, but my tag button is not working. So if you all would tag some folks, I'd really appreciate it. Yeah, my tag button it's got everybody like starting from 8. And I got 4,070 some odd friends that I'd have to scroll through. But for right now, yeah, it's good to see you all. Michelle, what's going on? My good sister. Lucas, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Alan, yes, Defense for Democracy in the house. John Brasini, what's going on, sir? How are you? Yes, I've made a decision that I am going to run for this seat. And I hope that I can win this seat and to take our party in the direction that it needs to be. Not to slight anybody that's been in the seat before me, but we need something new. We need something fresh, and we need somebody not only who can take us in that direction, but somebody who has proven themselves over the years that that the goal is the betterment of the people. You know, I don't want to down the party and all of that, but the betterment of the people. Yeah. Sharon, how you doing? Good to see you. I was so happy to see you at Mother Emanuel last week. And I know this is going to be a very heavy year for you and for so many more. And you know that you're in my heart and you're in my prayers, you and all of the rest of the survivors. I love you all. Julius, thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate you. Thank you, Julius. Stella, good evening. How are you? Thank you for tuning in. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you. Thank you, Stella. I appreciate that. Together, because, you know, I'm only as good as we are together. But together, there's nothing that the lunacy that's going on in D.C., there's nothing that we can't overcome. Nothing whatsoever. We have the power to make our lives better in spite of what's going on. And if we don't try, and we just give in to the hateful rhetoric and the craziness we see, then we're contributing to the problem. I want to be a part of the solution, and I want you all to join me in being a part of the solution. Yeah. Breezy, what's going on? Good to see you. Faye, how you doing? Good to see you also. Thank you. Thank you for getting on. Erica, thank you for getting on also. And Donna, thank you. Yes, yes. I'm going to talk a minute, Donna, about, not long, but about universal health care. You can believe that. Because I stand on democratic values. Most of y'all who know me know there's no in-between on me. I don't waffle and carry on. And I'll talk about that too. I'm not interested in playing no kind of political games or anything. Because when people do that, the people suffer. And I'm not into letting our people suffer anymore. We got enough to deal with right now with that lunatic that's in the White House and his cronies. But we can make a better day, just you and me. Just like Bruce Springsteen just said. Yeah. Linda, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in. Elaine, Chi-Town, what's going on? How you doing? Good to see you. Linda, keeping you in prayer, of course. And so many more. Y'all please share this on out. Hopefully we can get a few more people. And listen, I want y'all to understand, tonight I might not be able to address questions that you might have directly, but if you would please drop your questions in the comments section, I will answer each and every one of them during the course of this week, okay? Whatever the questions may be, full transparency. You know, if you ask, I'm going to answer as best as I can. And if I don't know an answer that for a question that you ask, I'll find out first. And if I can't find out, I'm gonna let you know that too. I don't have time to play games with people. And I think you all know that about me, that I don't play games with people. I'm honest, I'm upfront, I'm straightforward. I don't sell out, I don't take payouts, and I don't bargain the people away. And I think right now it's a time for that type of leadership within the Charleston County Democratic Party, within the South Carolina Democratic Party, within the Democratic National Committee, within the Democratic Party as a whole. I think it's time for that kind of leadership. Honest, straightforward, people-oriented, not party-oriented leadership. And that's why I wanted to get on tonight and to talk about why I'm seeking this seat, what it means for me to be in this seat, how my experiences has contributed to me being the best person for this seat, and the bottom line, what we can do together. Yes, good to see you. Elaine, thank you. Deborah, thank you. Gabriel, good to see you again. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you getting on. Yeah. So, in the aftermath of the 2024 elections, people across our nation are really experiencing like hopelessness and despair, like they've never felt before. Many of you know exactly what I'm saying. I don't know about y'all. Everywhere I ask the question about right now, how you're feeling, man, hopelessness and despair everywhere, anxiety everywhere. And since the inauguration, many feel as if America has become a fascist state, which is definitely a problem. And the people of Charleston County are not exempt from that. No one's exempt from that feeling. Many are afraid of what the future holds. Democrats and others, not just Democrats, but others. Many are afraid of what not just the future holds, but what tomorrow holds. And many more are angry. There are people that are angry as we watch the freedoms that we've thought that were secure become dismantled and removed right in front of our eyes. And as we search now, though, for new party leadership in the Charleston County Democratic Party, these people who are afraid, who are apprehensive and worried, they actually deserve leadership that will help them to thrive over the next 4 years. Not just survive, not just to make it from day to day, but to thrive over the next 4 years. Someone who has a documented history of representing the people, who can bring the disenfranchised back into the big tent, and who is progressive in thinking, strategic in planning, and bold in leadership. And as Clay Middleton, some of you all know Clay. Clay is a prominent Democrat within the Charleston County Democratic Party, recognized statewide. He was Hillary Clinton's South Carolina campaign manager in 2016, but a really good guy. Clay Middleton was quoted as saying these words at the DNC chair candidate forum recently. That was a couple of weeks ago at the American Theater. He said these words. He said, "As a voter in this race, I'm casting my vote for the person I believe will lead, fight, and recalibrate our party when we don't have the White House and control of Congress. Not easy, but very doable." Now, he wasn't speaking about the Charleston County Democratic Party chairman's seat or the Charleston County Party at all. He was talking about leadership from the DNC level. But what he said is very true as far as the party, the county party level too. He said, "As a voter in this race, I'm casting my vote for the person I believe will lead, fight, and recalibrate our party when we don't have the White House and Congress. Not easy, but very doable." And it is in this climate that I've decided to put my hat in the ring and run as a candidate for chairman of the Charleston County Democratic Party. Yep. So let me start by talking about my experience, okay? Why it is that I feel that my history has led me to make this choice. First off, let me be clear. The past chairs that we had with the Charleston County Democratic Party, yes, they were very knowledgeable when it came to politics. They had those connections and all of that. But let me just say something. Not one of them was an advocate or an activist, if you want to call it that, but an advocate. None of them had spent time in the streets working or fighting for the people, for the goodwill of the people. I'm not them. I'm not them. As a Democrat, I'm a lifelong Democrat. I'm a lifelong Democrat. And for the last 24 years, I've been boots on the ground at the grassroots level advocating for what can best be described as democratic values, okay? I've been fighting to reduce gun violence, domestic violence, and to prevent bullying. Advocating for criminal justice reform while holding our law enforcement and elected officials accountable to the people. Fighting for universal health care, living wages, and workers' rights to form unions. Quality public education, affordable college and universal pre-K education. Now, let me just say that when I say that I've been fighting, I'm talking about personal experiences on the ground with people advocating in these areas that we believe are called democratic values, okay? Fighting for accessible housing, ending homelessness, protecting our veterans and the elderly, simplifying the voting process, environmental justice, and respect for the civil and human rights of all, including the right of a woman to decide what's best for her body and for everyone to love who they want to love. I've been on the ground fighting for democratic values at all levels for well over 2 decades, going on 2.5 decades. Yes, all over. I've run for office myself. I've been a candidate for office. 2016, I was South Carolina's Democratic candidate for U.S. Senate, and I ran against Republican incumbent Tim Scott. Tim Scott, pretty powerful dude. Me, a nobody from North Charleston, South Carolina, that I claim as home, just as I claim Chicago as my home. I've been in North Charleston in South Carolina since 1986. Okay, I claim it as home. Yes, we gon' fight on, Cindy. You can believe that. Eric, what's going on? Good to see you all. We gon' fight. You know, ain't nobody getting ready to just survive or woe is me for the next 4 years. We gonna thrive here in Charleston County under my leadership. Trust me. In 2016, I was South Carolina Democratic candidate for U.S. Senate, running against incumbent Tim Scott. In that race, I got 757,000 votes. 757,000 people in South Carolina voted for me. Although Tim beat me, I had 37% of the vote. I think he came up with 44% of the vote. But I had $40,000 and he had several $1 million, okay? So with $40,000, $10,000 of which I had to give to the South Carolina Democratic Party just to run. And I never got a return on my investment, but that's neither here nor there, okay? So that was 2016. I ran for Congress. 2019, I ran for mayor of North Charleston. Unfortunately, didn't win in that. I guess the community wasn't ready for an advocate. And I'm hoping right now that our Charleston County Democratic Party is ready to have an advocate actually sitting in the chair position, as opposed to those who just understand and know the political aspect of it, which I also know. Okay. Over the years, I've supported numerous Democratic candidates at the county, state, and federal levels. In 2021, I briefly served as the chair of the North Area Democrats. And, you know, unfortunately, though, as I started to gain momentum, because we were gaining the momentum as North Area Dems, and some of you will remember this. As I started to gain momentum, there were factions within that group who worked very hard to undermine the work I was doing for whatever reason. I could speculate, but I'm not even going to speculate. Okay, that party, the club, the North Area Club, will be resurrected under me as chair of the Charleston County Democrats. It will be resurrected. Okay. So that's as my political aspect, but as a social justice advocate now, I've worked with a variety of groups that support the Democratic platform and democratic values, okay? Coming out of the gate, I was released from prison in 2001, okay? Full transparency, most of you all already know. I came out of prison after 30 years of drug addictions and alcoholism. Was released from prison in 2001. And not long after exiting the prison system, I started working with a group called the South Carolina Crime Reduction Coalition, dealing with prison reform, dealing with law enforcement reform, straight out of the prison system, because I knew that's what I was supposed to, that was my calling, okay? I started working along with the South Carolina Progressive Network. Some of you all will recognize the Progressive Network. Brett Bursey and the work that he's done up in Columbia and across our state with the South Carolina Progressive Network. As a matter of fact, and I tell a story on my Facebook page, that's actually where I got the red scarf from. 2014, South Carolina Progressive Network had a rally at the State House, and they passed out these banners that say enough on them. The theme, the rally was focused on 3 things, addressing Nikki Haley, who was the then governor of South Carolina. We were talking about voting, expanding voting rights, universal health care, and quality public education, democratic values. That was 2014. That was 11 years ago when I got this scarf. that I asked Brett Bursey, because at that time I was working in gun violence prevention primarily. And when I saw the red scarf and it had the words enough on it, I thought about the blood that was being shed in the community due to gun violence. And that word enough is enough on there. I asked him, is it okay if I use the scarf for that? And it's turned into a trademark. Myself, I could talk about when I ran for office against the Republicans opponents, how the meaning of the scarf transitioned from not only from the blood dealing with gun violence, but this red state that we're in running against these red opponents. And now the scarf meant enough of the Republican oversight, overrule, and oppression in our state. So yeah, the scarf means something. It ain't just a scarf now. But yeah, Brett Bursey and the South Carolina Progressive Network, all of that not long after I came out of the prison system. When it comes to labor, fighting for labor, I worked with the Fight for 15 out on the streets with these young kids out here. Man, pre-dawn strike lines at McDonald's, all kinds of places and whatever. I was a chair of Healthcare Workers United, which sought to organize the union at MUSC. I was part of the union organizing at Boeing twice with the IAMAW, the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers. I was all part of that organizing campaign out on the streets. Once again, boots on the ground. I'm an advocate. That's what I do. Okay. In 2015, I was elected the chairman of the board of trustees of the Charleston Alliance for Fair Employment, CAFE, a position that I held for 2 terms. So I've been out here advocating on the streets for labor for over a decade, well over a decade. Education. I'm one of the founding members of the Quality Education Project and still sit on their council. The Quality Education Project is about strengthening our public education system and addressing the injustice of privatization. And I still work with Quality Education Project, as you see me advocating inside of our Charleston County School Board, and have been doing that for many, many, many years, before Jarita Postlewaite even started here, okay? Most recently, with this rise of Moms for Liberty, I've been with Movement 400 in the fight against Moms for Liberty, book bans, and the anti-LGBTQIA Republican agenda, and the further whitewashing of Black history. I've been standing up, fighting against them in the educational realm. When it comes to that same group, the LGBTQIA plus group, I'm associated with South Carolina Equality, AFA, the Alliance for Full Acceptance. I've been in the streets with Charleston Pride and Charleston Black Pride, gotten an award from Charleston Black Pride. When I ran for mayor, they were surprised that as a mayoral candidate that I would sit down with Charleston Black Pride and just have a conversation with them. They said no political candidate had ever come to them and sat down and just had a conversation with them. Man, everybody's life matters. Everyone's life. And as I said, with gun violence prevention, which has been one of the fundamental advocacy areas that I've been in, because born and raised in the projects around Chicago, around guns, drugs, and gangs all of my life, and have realized the amount of wasted life that has come because of gun violence. That has been one of my primary focuses. And in that realm, I've worked with Moms Demand Action, Arm in Arm, that was formerly Gun Sense SC, that actually started right here in the city of Charleston, an offshoot of Brady United at one point. With We Are Their Voices, Tisa Wack and Chandra Bryant up in Lincolnville and Somerville. Parents Against Gun Violence. These are on the street. These are parents primarily in North Charleston, but around the Low Country, who have lost their loved ones to gun violence, that band together. They formed an organization called Parents Against Gun Violence. And I've been out here in the streets working with them for years. But my primary national organization affiliation in the gun violence prevention world is with Brady United Against Gun Violence, the oldest gun violence prevention organization in the nation. In November of 2017, I was elected to their board of trustees, their national board of trustees, and I've been a board member now for 7 years. On the board, I currently serve as the chairman of the Grassroots and Partnerships Committee. Okay, boots on the ground as a board member, though. And also, I sit on the litigation committee. I sit on the committee where we take people to court in order to ensure that our nation is safe from gun violence through legislation. Okay. Now, aside from those areas, of course, I have my regular advocacy that's in the hood, and I got to say it in the hood, because many times the advocacy that we see from our national organizations is all about schools and mass shootings, okay? But every day in the hood, somebody's killed somewhere, and mass shootings occur every day. So my advocacy has extended into our neighborhoods. I work regularly and have been an advisor with groups here in North Charleston, like Positive Vibes, Rajan A. Smith Incorporated, founders Katrina Sinclair and Ronald Smith, who lost their 14-year-old daughter now almost 4 years ago in May. They decided that they wanted to do something about the gun violence, so hopefully no other parent would go through what they went through. And so they started the organization, Positive Vibes, Rajan A. Smith Incorporated, and they have been making an impact now for 4 years and going strong with no outside help from anyone other than a grant that was given to them from North Charleston City Hall 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Other than that, they get no help. It's all out of pocket. Also, Donamichi Singleton, D Block, with North Charleston, South Carolina Youth Resistance Incorporated, working along with them regularly. I've been to Chicago and trained with Mr. Ceasefire, T.O. Hardeman, who is the founder of the Ceasefire Movement and Violence Interrupters. So we went there. We got a training on modern techniques, 21st century techniques for violence intervention and interruption, how we get ahead of the violent crime that we see in the streets. And because of what we learned in Chicago, myself, Ronald Smith, Stunner, D Block, and others that went there, because of that, we brought some of that information back, and it's helped to turn the tide around in North Charleston, where at one point several years ago, we were in the top numbers for gun violence in the nation, and now we have dropped down way far on the list in North Charleston. And I do believe it's because of the techniques and things that we learned through violence interrupters. I've been involved with organizations that address domestic violence. I work along with Butch Kennedy and Lisa Kennedy with their organizations who feed, clothe, and house the homeless, organizations who advocate for who are advocates for our veterans and the elderly. I work along with Denise Cromwell and her organization, Tent City, and every organization you can think of, I've been a part of and been in the streets with, okay, for well over a decade, some with nearly two decades, all right? I'm a Christian, and I currently serve as associate pastor at Life Community Church, which is a micro church over in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, a church that I got with in the aftermath of gun violence 7 years ago. 7 years ago this month. The pastor and his son were rehabilitating homes for veterans over here in North Charleston for free. And two kids with a gun thought they had some money, came in and started shooting. The pastor's son was shot once and he died. And the pastor was shot 5 times and he lived. And I knew that nobody from North Charleston or the surrounding or the county was going to see about them because they're from Mount Pleasant. So I went to the vigil for the son while the pastor was still in church. Didn't know what to expect, but I went. And they received me. And my wife and I realized, though, after, when the pastor came home many, many weeks later, after his recovery, he called one day, we connected, and we've been with them ever since. My wife and I understanding that group, it's a small family church, a congregation. And we knew that they were going to need somebody from outside their circle that they could really depend on. So been there ever since as their associate pastor. been with them now since the tragedy happened. Please keep them in prayers, especially this month. And listen, in all of my years of advocacy, I've collaborated with all faith traditions. I might be a Christian, but I've collaborated with Jews and with Muslims. My nephew, he calls me Unc, and I call him my nephew, Brandon Fish, with the Jewish Federation. And I've worked with them at all levels, also out in the streets. Muslims, atheists, and agnostics. I don't discriminate. Listen, what you believe is what you believe. My job is not to tell you what to believe. And so I've worked along with atheists and agnostics, our Latino and Native American communities. I've marched in the streets with our Latino community. I've marched in Colombia with our Native American community. And our white community at all ends of the spectrum. Been out there in the streets with our white brothers and sisters too. And I have publicly championed women's rights, gay rights, and environmental justice. Okay. Now, that's my history. That's my experience. And as I saw in a movie with Steven Seagal, the bad guy always said, and you can take that to the bank. Well, this the good guy saying you can take that to the bank. Everything that I said, you can fact check it. If I went around my room right now, you would see the various awards that have been presented to me over the years. It's so many I can't, and I never have done anything in order to get rewards. It's just that when you do good, people acknowledge that. And so I want to take that same do good, getting into that good trouble, into the office and into the seat of the chairman of the Charleston County Democrats. All right. But, you know, in my memory, though, the Charleston County Democrats have never had leadership with a documented history of advocacy and engagement on all levels of the socioeconomic spectrum as I do. Never had leadership like that. I said it before. Good with politics, great with politics, and all the political thinking and everything, which I have experience also in that, but none were advocates at all. And as we've seen participation under the big tent, Democrats like to say they're the big tent party, the party of the big tent, meaning that everybody's welcome. Hey, all right, somebody must be cooking. Every now and then we run into that. My wife's standing there, she said, Y'all give me a minute, please. Give me a minute. At least unless I got to run out of the house. If I got to do that, y'all please pray for me. Pray for me. All right. As I was saying about the big tent, the Democratic Party likes to pride itself and call itself the big tent party. And it says that because they say that they welcome everybody under the tent. Everybody can come into the tent and be a part of the big tent party. You know, Alan, you say my campaign is on fire. True that. True that. There's a parable in there somewhere. Yep. So we've seen participation under the so-called big tent dwindle within the rank and file. And ironically, as a matter of fact, for about 20 years now, it's been dwindling. And ironically, also at the polls. So not just within the membership or the rank and file, but we've seen Democratic participation dwindle at the polls. And it's time for someone who can lead from a more diverse perspective, not like our previous chairs who did great jobs, but someone who can lead from a different perspective, someone who is not bound by the norms of the past, but is willing to infuse the lessons of the past with new ideas and new perspectives that will re-energize our base. Just that simple. There are those who will say, well, why should you really be in that spot? Why not? Because there's been no one of the caliber of advocate as I am in that seat. And just to be perfectly honest with you, for the last 20 years, we've been losing. We've been losing. So to go back and put people in place as we've had in place, to me, it doesn't make sense. What does make sense is that it's time for a change. It's time for new attitudes with new looks at an old problem, where the solutions might lie at. Because to keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome, well, somebody said that that's the definition of the guy in the White House. All right? Let me just put it out like that. So this re-energizing of the base, this can be done. It can be done with the right leadership, while also expanding access to the big tent for the Democratic Party's disenfranchised masses who have walked away from our party. But nobody, over the years, nobody seems to know or to accept why. I got a good idea why. I'm not going to get into it tonight because it would take too long for me to clarify. But I will explain it as to why the disenfranchised of the party have walked away. Many of whom from the Latino community, they just went Republican, straight up, Thank you, Arthur. I appreciate you. I definitely appreciate you. Michelle, what's going on? Yes, my sister, Deborah Powell Anderson, what's going on? I love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about that. For real, for real. So again, this can be done with the right leadership, while also expanding access to the big tent for the Democratic Party's disenfranchised masses who have walked away from our party, but nobody seems to know or to accept why. I challenge you. I challenge you. You think about it. For those who might be a part of the Democratic Party here in Charleston County already, I challenge you, okay, to look honestly at Charleston County's Democratic Party constituents, okay? What do you see when you look at Charleston County's Democratic constituents? How many black voters do we have in Charleston County? How many vote as Democrats? And how does that stack up against the number of black people who are active in the party? When we have these meetings, these party meetings, how many black folks actually come out to these meetings to get involved? What is that percentage? Not much, I'm afraid. And another question, how many black voters in Charleston, how many black votes have been left on the table because black voters in Charleston feel that there's no reason for them to vote, or they've been left standing out on the outside of the big tent looking in? There are a lot. There are a whole lot of votes that are still out there because the voters aren't voting. They're not going. Those that at one time we could count on as Democratic voters, they have a reason why they don't go to the polls anymore. There's a reason. And we need somebody sitting in the Charleston County Democratic chair that's willing to not only accept the fact that there's a reason, but understands that reason and is willing to address that reason in order to turn those disenfranchised voters whose votes are left on the table and not getting counted in elections, to get them back into the big tent, back into the party, and back into the polls at the ballot box so they can actually vote. And they can see a return on their investment. Not just act like they've been pimped for a vote. All right? I'm sorry. This is me. This is me. I'm putting this out here because if you don't like what I say, then you just, you don't support me. I'm just going to be perfectly transparent. Not just black people. How many Latino voters do we have in Charleston County? And probably more importantly, how many Hispanics do we see active in the Charleston County Democratic Party? How many? 5, 6, 10? We have events. How many Latino people show up to these events? Less than the blacks. I'm going to say it, okay? And in Charleston County, as it was across the nation, why did our Latino brothers and sisters feel that Trump and the Republican way was the way for them? What are we doing wrong? What are we doing wrong? If this is the big tent party, why are they standing on the outside of the tent, refusing to come inside? I got an idea, and that's something that I intend to address as Charleston County Chair, to make sure that the big tent, that the door to the big tent, has a welcome sign for everybody that comes in. And not only that, in coming in, they will realize and they will see a difference in the way that they're treated, not just when it's time to go to the polls, but in between time, when it's time to show love 24/7, not just because we need a vote. All right? All right. You know, I want to talk briefly about fundraising, okay? Because I had a friend that when I told him I was going to do this, first thing they said was, can you fundraise? That was the immediate thing that came up. Can you fundraise, okay? Fundraising in politics at all levels is critical. Let me just say that, okay? And I must admit, fundraising is not really my forte. But I'm certain that with a little help from my friends, we can do at least as well as we've done in the past, and probably better. I mean, the mechanisms are already in place to continue fundraising. And as a matter of fact, something that I've seen, especially working through the gun violence prevention world, is that when the people feel that they are particularly threatened, they're giving more. They give more money. They donate more. And so I don't see anything to inhibit the fundraising that we have, okay? Again, especially considering the political climate we face. Data shows that in times of chaos, financial support increases. And with the election and installation of Donald Trump in the White House, we found ourselves in a time of unprecedented chaos, calamity, and confusion. So I'm certain that donations will, at the very least, remain constant to offset the chaos and aid in the fight for democracy. Again, at the very least. I don't think that that's going to prove a problem. But the difference between how it's been in the past and how what we've done in the past must change as we move forward. If we hope to at least maintain our democracy, and at best, after nearly 25 years, we have to change in order to finally win in South Carolina. We have to. They've been fundraising in in South Carolina, in Charleston County, Democrats for years and years and years. And at the end of that fundraising, what has happened? We continue to lose as a party in South Carolina. 2/3 majority Republicans in our General Assembly. And that number, they just elected some of the worst bigots you could think of. We lost huge in South Carolina. In the past, I really do believe that the job description for leadership in the Democratic Party, from the county level through our Democratic Party elected officials, has been limited to those who could fundraise and could only appeal to a certain demographic. Let's just be honest about it. They could fundraise, but they could not reach the people. They were unable to appeal to and to build our base, which is what? The voters. They've been unable to, but they could fundraise their heads off. Look at Jamie Harrison. Jamie Harrison ran against Lindsey Graham a few years ago, raised anywhere from $50 million to $100 million, and came up in the end, he lost the election, and he got 44% of the votes, 7% more of the votes than I got with $40,000. I raised $40,000. He raised $50 to $100 million, only to lose with 7 percentage points more than me. So if fundraising is how you win, then it should not, that premise should not be there. It should be a proven fact. Jamie should have won. And I shouldn't have came up with 757,000 votes with $40,000. But that's some backward thinking. It's time to switch that thinking around. In the past, I believe the job description for leadership in the Democratic Party, from the county level through our Democratic Party elected officials, has been limited to those who could fundraise and could only appeal to a certain demographic, but were unable to appeal to and build out our base, the voters. And that model was accepted, and it has been accepted. And it's obvious where that model has gotten us. Frankly, that model did not work, and it doesn't work. We can't just build the bank and talk about the big tent. We need to build the bank while expanding the all-inclusive big tent as we move forward, becoming the party that we claim to be. We've left too many disenfranchised voters out of the equation while accepting fundraising as the benchmark for success. And we keep losing. There must be a balance. And if we don't strike that balance now, we might not never get another chance. And in reality, now it was actually 4 years ago. But again, we missed our opportunity because our vision was stuck on what was and not what it could be. And now, in closing, okay, there are a few things that you should know about me. And I felt like it was necessary to just tell the truth, just to be totally honest about me in this position. Okay, because there's some things that I will do and there's some things that I won't do in this position. Okay. Again, you can drop any kind of comments or questions or whatever in the comments section, and I will respond to them later on this week, possibly tomorrow. Okay, although I have a board meeting tomorrow. Okay. Here's one thing. Okay, and I've refrained from it even in this conversation tonight. Unfortunately, due to my access to the party over the years, there are a lot of things that I could talk about from experience that would not paint some of our people in a positive light. Okay, I know a lot. I know a whole lot. I know a lot of fact, okay? From the least at the county party level to the state and the federal levels and all parts in between. But that's not why I'm here. I just want to say that I do know a lot about the skeletons and things like that. And for those folks who might be the bearers of those skeletons, with me as the chair of the Charleston County Democrats, now is your chance. It's your chance to clear the slate, to start over anew, to get right, to reject the attitudes and behaviors of the past and become that people person, party affiliate that's going to contribute positively to the growth and the collective and the expansion of the big tent for everyone. Let me be perfectly clear about this next statement, okay? I am a Democrat, and I believe in democratic values. And I don't entertain, I want you to understand this, I don't entertain anyone, I don't care what party you are, who doesn't place the good of the people first. Anyone. I'm not going to entertain it. I'm going to stop, I'm politely check you, say, go ahead on now. You know, it's either going to be about the people or it's not going to be at all. You put the party before the people, and I got a problem there, straight up. I'm just going to say that. And personally, I think this is the kind of leadership that we need in order to take back our party and to really build out that big tent and bring the people who have been disenfranchised back in. People who are not playing party politics, but about standing on business for the people, okay? When it comes to playing politics and interacting with the opposition, let me just be clear about this part of it. The opposition meaning the Republican Party. Even as the Charleston County chair of the Democratic Party, when it comes to playing politics and interacting with the opposition, I will be cordial to Republicans at all levels, but I'm not going to suck up to any of them, period. No Democrats either. That's not what I do. Because those are the same people that voted Trump in. And those are the same people right now responsible for the attack on our Latino and Hispanic population. Those are the people who are responsible for how they were removing the civil rights that were gained in 1964. They're trying to remove them right now from us. Those are the same ones that are behind book banning and all of this. They voted for this. And so I have no desire in my body to be rubbing elbows and hobnobbing, keying up in their face. I'm sorry, that ain't me. That just ain't me. Okay? And I'm not interested in being invited to stand with or greet the new president or any of his people. I know a lot of times your county chairs get invited to stand with the presidents when they come in town or whatever. But I'm not interested in being invited to stand with or greet the new president or any of his people, or sitting in interviews with the South Carolina GOP leadership. I don't care to do that, including the head of the Charleston County Republican Party, unless they start standing up for democratic values. Now, again, you'll have an opportunity, delegates will have an opportunity to vote for or against me. But I'm just putting it on the table. That's just me. I might try to find somebody within the party who feels like they want to go stand with them people, but I'm just never going to have a photo op off of me. It's not going to happen. I represent the people. Those folks, like the President of the United States right now, does not represent the people at all. Not my people, okay? Not Democrats, not democratic values. And I don't have any desire to rub elbows with the South Carolina GOP, Charleston County Republican Party, or none in between, okay? Because they voted for that clown, all right? They put him in. And that's why we're looking at somebody saying, oh, it's American History Month, not Black History Month. Man, get that. I digress, okay? Now, I want members of the Charleston County Democratic Party to understand this and understand what I'm saying next fully, okay? I'm not here to play games internally either, okay? I don't have time to waste, and you don't have time to waste either, and neither do the people that we say we serve. People who so desperately need a functional, viable Democratic Party that's working on their behalf. So let me be clear. Charleston County Democrats, bullying of any type will not be tolerated. In person, at party meetings, on Zooms, or on social media. If you want to be a cyber terrorist, do it somewhere else. Rest assured, if and when this happens, it will be addressed. I'm telling you this right now. This will be fair warning, okay, to those. And I got names, but I'm not going to put the names out here, okay? I know who. I've been around long enough. Like I said, I got names. I know what the skeletons are. If this is you, this is your chance to start anew, to drop that old thought process, join the ranks of this new Democratic Party movement as we're doing, that's focusing on the good of the people. And ain't nobody got time for that foolishness, them foolish games I've seen playing, the bullying carrying on. Stop it. Just stop it. If this is you, stop. Them purity testing carrying on, stop it. Ring kissing, all of that, stop it. All of those are hindrances and distractions from the party work that we can be doing together. And we don't need no more distractions, period, okay? No mas, okay? Let's make that kind of behavior a distant memory that I pray will never be resurrected, okay? Now, again, I'm not putting any names out here, but those who know, they know. They know. It's time to change this program so that we, for the people, win. Not all of these darn games people playing about favorites and all of that and carrying on. This ain't no club. That's one of the problems we've had in the past. People operating this like this is the Democratic club, you know? Like it's just members only or something like that. And you got certain people that are more privileged than other people. So it takes everybody to make this thing happen, and all that infighting and backbiting and all that. You don't never see that on the Republicans. You never see that on the Republicans. You follow any of their Facebook pages or whatever, you never see that. Gang. I don't like you. I blocked you. The only people Republicans block is people like me who gonna put that truth out. But their own people, and they go vote for their own people. Period. Period. So, folks, please, please, take it to heart. As I close, take it to heart. We have got to stop that. Come together, unite to fight. Okay? That's the only way we're going to win anything. All righty? And now, again, quoting Clay Middleton. Okay? As a voter in this race, I'm casting my vote for the person I believe will lead, fight, and recalibrate our party. Remember, I said that I got 757,000 votes with $40,000. But that's not how I got the votes with the $40,000. I got the votes because the message that I delivered to the people resonated with the people. They found hope in universal health care. They found hope in public education for their kids. They found hope in the fact that I talked about an environment that could work for everybody with clean air and clean water, a place, the community where they could sit on their porch free from gun violence and not have to worry about getting shot walking to and from the store. They understood how I was advocating for our gay community and for women's rights. They understood that, and that's how I got 757,000 votes, not $40,000 that was raised, opposed to 50 million or 100 million. I got it because I was there talking to them about, first off, what I knew firsthand, because I lived it, and what I knew would touch them also, because these are the things that people want. And my friends, now is the time for us to let the community at large know we are that Democratic Party that is going to serve you in the needs that you have right up front, right at the grassroots level. I have lived what could authentically be called a people-first agenda. So if you want someone who will lead, fight, and recalibrate the Charleston County Democrats, someone who has dedicated the last 25 years of his life to protecting the people, someone who pledges progressive thinking, strategic organizing, bold leadership, and a commitment to ensuring that we don't just survive the next 4 years, but that we all thrive, I am your candidate. And I pray that on March 1st, at the Charleston County Convention at Royal Missionary Baptist Church here in North Charleston, beginning at 10 o'clock a.m., that I will receive the delegate votes needed to take the Charleston County Democrats to the next level. And just for those who may not be, if you're not a delegate, or if you've never attended a Democratic function, I'm asking you to come out anyway. Come out anyway and cheer your boy on so that we can go on together and work for a more perfect union and that beloved community that Dr. King talked about. Yes, we can. I think there was a skinny president with a funny name who said that. Yes, we can. And yes, we can for our white community, our black community, our Hispanic community, our Pacific Island and Asian community, and our Native American community. We can do this. I just need your help and your support. And as you see, I didn't ask you for a dime. All I want you to do is understand the type of person that you have the opportunity to elect the next chairman of the Democratic Party here in Charleston County. And I hope that after understanding that you'll do what's necessary. If you're not a delegate, talk to your delegates. Find out who they are. You should already know. There's a lot of reforming to be done in this county party that I intend to take on head on in order to make it that viable, working, big tent that the Dems always talk about. Listen, y'all take care. Thank you all for entertaining me during this time. I really appreciate it. Share this out with others so that they will understand my heart and what my history and what my intentions are moving forward for this party in order to take us to the next level, knowing that we never, for the next 4 years, never do we have to just survive from day to day with the oppression that's coming out of Washington, that we together, collectively, as Democrats, that we can thrive. Y'all take care. It's the pastor. I love you all. And as Deborah Powell Anderson, who was on here, I don't know if she still is, like she always says, I love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about that. Y'all take care. Peace.